Welcome back to another episode documenting the construction of the Sturry Link Road project. This week has been one of the busiest we've covered to date, with significant progress taking place right across the site. Activity continued on multiple fronts, from earthworks and drainage to utility diversions and the ongoing construction of the working platforms that will support the next stages of the viaduct. At the south abutment, piling operations gathered real momentum. Throughout the week, the team successfully completed 14 foundation piles, marking another important milestone in the construction of the new River Stour crossing. By the end of the week, work had already begun to dismantle the piling rig, ready for its move to Platform B, where the next phase of foundation works will soon begin. Elsewhere, deliveries of engineered fill continued throughout the week to Platforms C and D, with dozers spreading the material and rollers compacting each layer as the reinforced working platforms edged closer to completion. Drainage operations also intensified around the southern approach to the viaduct, while utility teams continued carefully exposing existing services before diversion works can progress. North of the railway, the future attenuation pond began to take shape. Temporary footbridge foundations advanced with fresh concrete pours, and preparations continued for the diversion of public right-of-way CB64, with vegetation clearance and survey work taking place along the new route. During the week, we also followed the journey of material leaving the piling operation to its destination off-site, a visit that resulted in an unexpected encounter and provided another perspective on the wider logistics involved in delivering a project of this scale. With progress visible across almost every active work area, there is certainly plenty to cover. So let's take a closer look at another busy week on the Sturry Link Road project. Work at the south abutment continued at an impressive pace throughout the week, with piling operations becoming the main focus. Here, a member of the piling team carefully removes any remaining spoil and contaminated material from the top of the freshly formed pile before the reinforcement cage is lifted into position. This helps ensure the cage is installed into clean concrete, ready to form a strong structural foundation. Once aligned over the bore, the cage is slowly lowered to its designed depth, completing another key stage in the piling process. This sequence was repeated 14 times during the week, marking significant progress on the foundations of the new viaduct. As we continue across to Platform D, construction of another major working platform is entering its final stages. The platform is being built using 3 layers of high-strength geogrid, each separated by approximately 400 millimeters of compacted 6F5 engineered fill, creating a reinforced working platform around 1.2 meters deep. This carefully engineered layered construction distributes the immense loads generated by heavy construction plant, providing a stable foundation for the next phase of works. Once complete, the platform will support what the project team has confirmed is the tallest piling rig currently operating in the UK, ready to begin constructing the foundations for the northern viaduct piers. With the formwork now complete, concrete pours for the temporary pedestrian scaffold bridge foundation pads got underway. These foundations will provide a stable base for the temporary structures, allowing safe access across the work areas as construction of the viaduct continues. As you'll see later in the episode, it didn't take long for the team to complete these pours, with another small but important milestone ticked off. And, as for the foreman making sure he was front and center of the camera, I'm beginning to think that might be an inside joke. Or perhaps he's making sure someone back home sees he's behaving himself while he's away working. North of the railway, utility investigation works continued as engineers carefully exposed existing underground services ahead of the planned diversion works. In this trial hole, the engineer is approximately 800 millimeters below ground level, using specialist locating equipment to accurately identify the position of the buried cable before any further excavation takes place. Although these trial holes may appear straightforward, the ground conditions here are particularly challenging, making them physically demanding to excavate. Taking the time to accurately locate existing services is an essential part of the process, helping to protect critical infrastructure and ensure the work can continue safely. With the concrete now having had time to gain its initial strength, the team returned to remove the formwork from the temporary pedestrian scaffold bridge foundation pads. Once the shuttering has been stripped away, the edges are carefully finished, leaving the foundations ready for the next stage of construction. Although the pads are now in place, the concrete will continue to cure and gain strength before the temporary scaffold bridges are erected, ensuring they're ready to safely support the works ahead. Elsewhere on site, another team was busy preparing the new diversion route for public right-of-way CB64. Throughout the week, operatives carried out extensive vegetation clearance, strimming the entire route from the Shallock Road access point all the way through to the opposite end of the diversion. While it may not be the most eye-catching work taking place on the project, it's an important part of preparing the route ahead of its planned opening. Having seen it firsthand, it certainly needed a tidy up, and it's good to see this work now well underway. Earthworks also gathered pace north of the railway, with a significant amount of material being excavated from the developing attenuation pond. Throughout the week, a steady stream of muck-away lorries arrived at Access C, with the excavator working almost continuously to keep the operation moving efficiently. The volume of material leaving the site highlights the scale of the earthworks now underway, as the attenuation pond continues to take shape and another key element of the project's drainage infrastructure progresses. As with the platform on the opposite side of the railway, progress continued steadily through a repetitive but essential process. Instead of material being removed, this area was focused on building up the platform with continued stone deliveries throughout the week. Deliveries were again significant, with between 1,500 and 2,000 tons of stone arriving each day. Each load follows the same carefully controlled process. The stone is delivered, the dozer spreads it evenly across the working area, and the roller compacts it to create the required stable formation. It may seem like a simple cycle, but these repeated operations are what gradually build the foundations needed for the next major stages of construction. Rather than talk over this section, we'll just let the footage do the talking. Watching the progress unfold at speed really shows the scale, coordination, and amount of work happening across the site in just a short space of time. part of documenting the south abutment piling operation, we decided to follow the journey of the material being removed from the CFA piles. These piles extend more than 20 meters below ground level, meaning a significant volume of spoil is generated during the drilling process. Rather than remaining on site, this material was being loaded into Andrews lorries and transported to the nearby Valencia waste facility. Although the destination is only a short distance away from the construction site, the change in landscape is quite noticeable. The spoil from the viaduct foundations is being transported from the low-lying construction area and deposited much higher up on the existing landfill site. Following the journey of this material gives a different perspective on the scale of the works taking place, showing that every part of the construction process, including what leaves the site, has a story behind it. While the piling operation at the south abutment was coming to an end, another important stage of the works was already beginning. All 16 piles for this section had now been completed, and the large piling rig had started the process of being dismantled, ready for its move around to Platform B, where it will begin the next phase of foundation works. During the week, we continued following the journey of the spoil generated from these piling operations. The material being removed from the CFA piles was being transported by Andrews lorries to the nearby Valencia waste facility, so we decided to document where this material from the viaduct foundations was ending up. The Valencia site has been a subject of discussion and concern within parts of the local community, with residents raising questions about the operation over time. Following the events that took place during our visit, I shared an update on the Sturry Link Road community page to explain what had happened. The response from local residents was significant, with many people offering their support and sharing their own views and experiences. During filming at the facility, an interaction took place regarding the recording taking place. Earlier in the year, I had already spoken with a representative from the site after concerns were raised about filming. At that time, I explained that my focus was the Sturry Link Road project and not the day-to-day operation of the waste facility. However, With material directly connected to the construction project now being transported there, I felt it was important to document this part of the process. During the conversation, concerns were raised about filming the site, and the discussion became increasingly difficult. Comments were made regarding the drone and filming equipment, and the representatives stated that they would stop Andrew's lorries from tipping at the site if this was the reason for filming. My response was that decisions regarding arrangements between businesses were not my responsibility. My aim has always been to document the construction process and provide an accurate record of the Sturry Link Road project for the local community. The following day, we returned to see whether the spoil movements were continuing. Despite the concerns raised during the previous interaction, Andrew's lorries were still arriving at the facility, with significant vehicle movements taking place throughout the morning. During the period we were filming throughout the week, the site was clearly busy, with multiple Andrews tippers entering, unloading and leaving. One thing we did observe was that we did not see any articulated waste vehicles tipping during our visits. The movements we captured were the lorries connected with the Sturry Link Road spoil deliveries. There was also visible dust being generated from vehicle movements and tipping operations. Given the volume of material being handled, dust management is an important consideration on any site of this nature. The footage shows the conditions we observed during our visits and provides another perspective on the wider logistics involved in delivering the Sturry Link Road project. Saturday morning brought us back to the south abutment, where the transition to the next phase of the project was already well underway. With the site operational, we kept our distance and avoided any low-level filming. Even from altitude, it was clear there was no time being wasted. The piling rig had already been dismantled into its transport sections, with the team continuing to work through the weekend to prepare everything for the move around to Platform B ahead of its next mobilisation. As we look across the south abutment, the platform briefly sits quiet while the team take a well-earned break. Moments later, the workforce returns, ready to continue the work of moving this huge piece of equipment and preparing for the next stage of the viaduct foundations. After another incredibly busy week on the Sturry Link Road project, we'll leave the team to get on with the work ahead. The piling may have moved on from the south abutment, but the next chapter is already beginning.